All systems go. Clear for takeoff.
What is going on, YouTube station? We're back on the SHIPIT Nation channel here. It's me, as always, for the NHL Quick Hit breakdown for today's 11-game slate, Thursday, October 26, 2023. We're going to bring you the winners. It's been a great start to the season over here at ShipItNation.com. Tons of shippers in the Discord, myself included. We've had a great start to the year, looking to keep the momentum rolling here. If you are not a member yet, I don't know what you're waiting for, but good news for you. We got promo code NBA10. Head over to ShipItNation.com. Use promo code NBA10 for any package. Gets you 10% off for life of the subscription. Brings it down to about $62 a month if you do the monthly package. Obviously, the annual package is going to be your best deal there, and that covers all sports. But if you want the 6-month package there, that'll take you through the entire NBA season and the remainder of NFL. So use promo code NBA10. You get all access to all of our sports, premium content, projections, everything you need to have success with DFS. And we've been absolutely crushing over here at ShipIt Nation. So you definitely want to be a part of it. If not, just hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton here on these channels. Keeps these shows free for you guys, everyone out there. In the comments section, drop what you're liking so far about the NHL season, the NHL content over here if you're a member at ShipIt Nation, or if you're just a free listener of this show, let me know your thoughts on the structure, what you're liking, anything you need. I will definitely do my best to take a look at those. Let's jump right in. We got 11 games. We got Thursday night football as well tonight. We got everything over here. Busy night in the DraftKings lobby. Looking at the slate as a whole here for this 11-game slate, we have a couple 6.5 totals. We got 2, 4, 5, 6.5 totals. The rest are all 6 totals. No 5.5 totals on this slate. So definitely a lot of ways you can go. Actually, when I wrote down my favorite stacks, I actually like a lot more stacks than typical tonight. So going to be a little bit more spread out tonight. I'll do my best to hit on those for everyone here. Going to add another piece in terms of unblocked shot attempts. Well, I'll hit on here in a second. But looking at the slate as a whole here, Boston tops the slate right now in terms of implied goal totals. Obviously, Boston has Anaheim at home here. Great matchup for Boston. But actually, I mean, we're going to talk about it a little bit. John Gibson can definitely stand on his head, but Boston undefeated to start the year. Looks like the same Boston team we saw last season. Obviously, didn't get the job done. They're going to be hungry this year, and I expect them to keep this rolling. Could easily be and very much likely start 7-0 here tonight after a win here at home against Anaheim. So Boston's up top at 5, a little over 5 implied goals. Tampa shortly behind at 4.8. I love Tampa here again tonight against San Jose for good reasons. They're going to get some ownership, but that's fine. Carolina falls shortly behind right there, right around 4 implied goals. Calgary Flames as the late night hammer there at home against the Blues. 3.75 total for them. And then the Avs round up the top 5 in terms of implied goals, 3.5 for the Avalanche. On the flip side of the spectrum, 5 of the lowest teams in terms of implied totals. We got the Ducks, Anaheim Ducks there, obviously faced in Boston. We got the Sharks, obviously faced in Tampa. Both of them are implied to score under 2. Sitting right around 2 is Seattle Kraken, the Blues at 2.4. And then the Oilers, actually, which is interesting, 2.83. But the Edmonton Oilers have not been the same to start the year. 1-5. Obviously, McDavid dealing with an issue there. So Edmonton definitely had a rough start, and now they face New York, who's a very good hockey team themselves. So we'll definitely break that down. But that's kind of high-level overview on the slate there. Looking at the 6.5 totals in particular, we got Columbus and Montreal sitting at 6.5. Lincoln's and Montembeau supposed to be in that game. Winnipeg and Detroit, which I definitely like that game a lot. 6.5 total there. Winnipeg's actually a favorite there on the road, which you get Detroit at home as a home dog. Definitely love Detroit here tonight. That's a 6.5 total. 6.5 total as well in Colorado and Pittsburgh with Georgiev and Tristan Jarry in that for the Penguins there. That's 6.5. And then the other two 6.5 totals are Tampa and the Sharks, and then Ottawa and the Islanders, which that's definitely interesting because usually Islanders games don't get over a 6 total too often because of their defense, especially on home ice here. Sorokin's supposed to be in net. Korpisalo's supposed to be in net for Ottawa there. So that's the high-level overview. Let's jump into some of these stacks that I'm interested in, and I'm going to start off the top. When you're going up to the top range, I talked about Boston and Tampa, right, being the two highest implied goal totals. My favorite team on the slate is actually going to be Tampa, not Boston. I'm not really interested here much in Boston. Boston could obviously break the slate. I'll hit on Boston here in a second, but I'm definitely loving Tampa Bay here. They're going to get ownership, and I don't really care. I love them. I love this top line. Bear, Boulette, Braden Point, and Nikita Kucherov going right back to the well. Boulette remains to be pretty cheap. Scored a goal last game at 1% ownership. I had him as a core play over here on the site, and he's still just $3,600. Got a $300 price increase. Coming off 2 goals in his last 2 games against Carolina, very good defensive hockey team, and then Toronto, who's a very good hockey team as well. He is going to get that second power play time. He's just $3,600. So as a value winger and part of your stacks, I like Alex Bear-Boulette quite a bit, averaging right around 2 shots per game. But my 2 favorite guys on this team, for sure, Braden Point. Braden Point in his past has owned San Jose. Last game, he scored 2 goals, 5 shots in net in 21 minutes of ice time, obviously last season. Game before that didn't score, but he was involved in the scoring, had 2 assists. So multiple point games in both of his last 2 against this San Jose squad. You can argue San Jose definitely got worse this season with all the trades that they did last year, and they're 0-6 to start the year. So been giving up a ton of goals. I love Tampa here. Tampa's my favorite stack of the day. When you look at the numbers in terms of the matchup sheet against the Sharks, allowing 3.62 goals per game. Their expected goals is even worse at over 4, second worst in the league. They allow the most shots on net in the entire league and the most high danger chances, and now head into Tampa to face one of the best teams in hockey, in my opinion, in terms of offensive firepower. The record doesn't show it at 3-4, but they can score with the best of them, especially with that top line. So love that. Steven Stamkos on that second line with Paul and Hagel. Nicholas Paul has been on fire, actually, so he remains a pretty nice value play at his price point on that second line. So give me any of these top 6 skaters. Really not going to jump into any of these other value guys too much outside of a guy that I'll hit on once I talk on value, but that would be Anthony Cirelli, third line, second power play. He's averaging over 2 shots per game, right around 20 minutes of ice time, and he's just 3,300 as a value center there. So if you want to get sneaky, you can throw Tampa 3 in there, but my favorite value play, one of the best value plays on the whole slate, in my opinion, especially in this matchup, is Anthony Cirelli. I expect him to get a little ownership, but ownership should be pretty spread, 11-game slate. 3,300 for him is pretty cheap. So love Tampa here. Tampa's my favorite stack of the board. I'm going right back to the well. They treated me well 2 nights ago. Going right back to the horse here with Tampa. I'm going to talk about another team that I think is going to get overlooked a little bit here, and they've been very, very good to start the year. They're a home dog. I already talked about them when I was talking about the overall slate plan off the top of the show. They're facing Connor Hellebuck and the Winnipeg Jets, and the Jets are favorited on the road here. I think this line is wrong, personally. Detroit's 5-2 to start the year. Now have Winnipeg at home. I think the best dog bet on the entire slate. Obviously, I don't do too many bets, but give me Detroit Red Wings plus 112 at home here. I think Detroit owns Winnipeg here. Obviously, Winnipeg has had their number last season, 5-1 in both games. Winnipeg won. I think that flips here. I think Detroit's the better hockey team, at least so far to start the year. I love this top line for Detroit. Keep an eye on Alex DeBrincat. He's game time decision, but DeBrincat, Dylan Larkin, Lucas Raymond, love that top line. They're incredible. They've been great to start the year. And they're 10th in the league in unblocked shot attempts in the last 3 games at 28 unblocked shot attempts on net in the last 3. So that's something I like to look at as well. Love those. David Perron as a third line top power play guy, a little value, please. You can add to your top line stack because he does power play correlate as well. He's just 4,300. Think he's good as well. Big Mo Sider, 5,400 as a mid-tier demon. Absolutely love him there. He's going to run point on that top power play, top line. He's going to get about 22 to 23 minutes a game. Can block some shots and can definitely score himself. He's had a very consistent floor to start the year as well, with only one game below 10 DraftKings points, and that was against Calgary 2 games ago. Outside of that, everything's been 10 to 13 with a ceiling in there of 23. So like Mo Sider quite a bit. Shane Gostisbehere is actually a very, very good play as well at 4,900. If you look at his game log for all the game log watchers, 12, 9, 15, 12, and 27 DraftKings points in his last 5. I like him and Mo Sider. They both are on that top power play there, and they both have very nice price points. I think you can play them both together in stacks, and I think you can play them both as one-offs in separate lineups. Shane Ghost has definitely been more active in terms of shooting the puck. He's averaging over 2 shots per game. Going to play 20 to 22 minutes. Again, he's averaging over 3 power play minutes per game as well. So that's what you want. Both of these guys play big minutes. Both of these guys play power play minutes. And both of these guys are in a good matchup here tonight. Looking at the matchup sheet, Winnipeg's been the 3rd worst defense in the league, allowing right around 3.8 goals per game. They do have a good penalty unit, and they limit high danger chances. So could argue that they could slow Detroit down here. But I'm going to take the low ownership on Detroit, the home dog money as well, in a 6.5 total where I think they can score. So I like Detroit here in this one. Main focus, definitely that top line. The Dylan Larkin line, Lucas Raymond, DeBrincat, but David Perron as a 3rd line option there, I think makes some sense as a value guy. He's definitely on that top power play as well. I'm not really looking at too many of these value guys. One guy I do want to mention, Andrew Kopp. He's been very good all season long. Obviously, let down game the last 2, but before that, 12, 16, 20, 23, 11 DraftKings points. He's just 4,500, going to get second line, second power play work, going to draw probably a decent, better matchup. So you could definitely scoot down to that second line, but if I'm going to Detroit, I don't think the ownership matters, and I'm just going to pay up for the big dogs at low ownership, and I think they have a good matchup here. Personally, myself, Detroit Red Wings. Let's jump back up to the highest implied goal total on the slate, the Boston Bruins. Boston's definitely going to get a lot of ownership. They get ownership each and every night, especially any team facing the Anaheim Ducks. Going to get ownership. But like I talked about, I mean, John Gibson can definitely stand on his head. He's one of the best goalies in the league, in my opinion, just stuck on one of the worst teams. It's been that way forever. He's played Boston pretty good earlier this year, 3-1. Played Boston, saved 23 of the 25 shots, gave up 2 goals. Obviously, then Boston scored an empty netter, but they played him close. I'm actually overall under on this game. I think this game plays pretty similar to how we saw it back on the 22nd when the game was in Anaheim. Obviously, the game's now here in Boston. Boston's a better team at home, in my opinion, but Boston just hasn't busted the slate open. I mean, their ceiling total on the year is 4 goals. And these price points on this top line, top power play, which is where I want to look, is that top power play in particular, because that's where you attack Anaheim. They're very expensive. David Pastrnak, 9,200. Obviously, you can play him each and every slate. Brad Marchand has a little bit better price point at 7,200. Zaka up on that top line as well. Has a little bit of a cheaper price point, but the main guy you want to play is Pasta, and he's 9,200, very expensive on this slate. Charlie McAvoy, 6,300. That's very expensive for a D-man as well. Zaka, 5,600 as a top line, top power play due to injuries there. I think he would be one of my favorite options, I think, just because he's in that mid-tier, but I expect him to carry some ownership. And then the other value guy, James Van Riemsdyk, 4,900, 3rd line, top power play. He's probably actually my favorite overall play on Boston, averaging over 2 shots per game. He only sees about 14, 15 minutes of time, but over the last 5 games, he's averaged nearly 4 penalty minutes per game. And looking at the power play matchup, Anaheim has the 2nd worst penalty kill so far to start the year through 6 games at 72%. Give up a lot of penalties against as well. 3rd or 4th worst in the league at 3.4 chances per game. So James Van Riemsdyk, 4,900, my favorite Boston piece. But overall, as Boston as a whole, of a team that's getting ownership with the highest implied goal total on the slate, I'm definitely under on Boston overall in this game. Like I said, if I'm going to one of the chalk stacks that's up at the top in terms of Vegas totals, I'm definitely going to Tampa side. So definitely under on Boston as a whole. Let's talk to another team here that I have a ton of interest in, and They're a road favorite here, minus 130. It's the Colorado Avalanche on the road here, facing Pittsburgh, heading into Pittsburgh to face Tristan Jarry. Colorado 6-0 to start the year. I talked about it in the beginning of the year when I did my first show. Colorado would have definitely been a different team last year had they not gone through the injuries, and you're seeing that to start the year. When they're healthy, this team is just absolutely electric with Nathan MacKinnon, one of the best players in the entire league. I love him here tonight, 9,300. You can argue he should be 10-3, 10-5. I mean, he's had one game under 20 DraftKings points all year, 22 DraftKings points, excuse me, and that was against Seattle. Every other game, 29, 27, 22, 22, 25. I mean, this guy averages 7 shots on net. He's an absolutely electric play. Top play in the slate, Nathan MacKinnon. No surprise there by anyone, any stretch of the imagination here. But with the other big dogs on the slate, I mean, I'm seeing 10 to 12% ownership on Nathan MacKinnon. The rest of these guys very low owned as well. I like Colorado quite a bit here. Looking at the matchups, the Penguins, 3.3 goals against, but their expected goals is actually worse than that. Penalty kills kind of middle of the pack. They give up a lot of penalties as well, bottom half of the league. But looking at the Avs, second best offense in the league through 6 games to start the year, averaging over 4.5, right around 4.5 goals per game. They have the most expected goals, second most in the league, and they take the most shots in net. The more shot on net you put on, the more opportunities you have for a chance to score, obviously. So I love the Avs here. Top line, second line as well with Mikko Rantanen, Tatar, and Johansson. I think makes some sense. So mainly top 2 lines. The second line is definitely going to be a little bit lower owned with similar upside. But with Lakeinen, Nishkushin, and McKinnon, love that top line for Colorado. They're expensive, but find a way to fit them in, like them quite a bit. Cale Makar is all the way up to 7,900. Don't love that price point on him, but he's got the most upside as any D-man on the slate in the league. I mean, he's got 27, 27, 21, 26 in 4 of his last 6 games to start the year. So anytime you got a D-man scoring in the 20s, you definitely have to have interest, but I think I'd rather pay up at some of the wing positions and the center positions on the slate than pay up for Makar, but should definitely keep his ownership in check a little bit. I'm seeing right around 5% projected ownership on him. So overall, give me those top 2 lines for the Avs, and really like that power play matchup as well. I mean, there's 6th best power play in the league to start the year. The Penguins, 79% penalty kill, so killing off about 4 out of 5 every 4 or 5 penalties. But they do give up about 4 penalties per game. So if the Avs can get 4 penalties, I think we can score at least 1 goal on that power play. So looking at that, like the Avs quite a bit here. Another team I have quite a bit of interest in as well is Ottawa. I like Ottawa here. Ottawa against the Islanders. They're in New York, right? Islanders on home ice can be a little scary, but Islanders definitely have given up some goals. I mean, sitting right around 3.4 goals allowed per game to start the year here. But this is more just a bet on the Senators. I mean, Ottawa's been scoring a lot. I mean, 5 goals against Tampa, 5 goals against Philly, 6 goals against Washington, which obviously Washington is not the greatest hockey team. Philly's not the greatest hockey team. Got beat pretty bad by Detroit, but I already talked about Detroit. I think Detroit's a very good team. Did score 4 goals against Buffalo, gave up 6 goals as well. So thing I look for is even if Ottawa doesn't win the game here, which I think Islanders could win, I'll talk about that once I get to goalie with Sorokin projected to be in net here for the Islanders. You want goals, and that's what you look for in terms of fantasy. That's what we're here for. We're playing fantasy, and I think these guys can definitely get there. And looking at unblocked shot attempts, Ottawa, Brady Tkachuk, Timmy Stützle, Claude Giroux, 3rd best in the league in the entire NHL in terms of unblocked shot attempts for the last 3 games. That's 37 shot attempts. That's over 10 shot attempts, unblocked shot attempts per game on average from that line. So give me that line. I love this Ottawa top line. Timmy Stu, Claude Giroux, Brady Tkachuk. I expect a lot of goals coming their way because looking at the last 3 games, they only have 2 goals for two goals to show for those 37 unblocked shot attempts on net. So I think positive regression's coming here. They're going to be unowned here tonight. Road dog as well, plus 116. I don't think that's the craziest bet either. And overall, I like Ottawa top line quite a bit in this one. That second line with Kubalik, Drake Batherson and Josh Norris is also firmly in play. Josh Norris at 5,500. Looking at his last 3 games since he started the year, came off the IR. He's only played since the back on the 18th was his first game. 22, 11, 15 DraftKings points. Second line, top power play. Going to play right around 16 to 18 minutes. I like him at 5,500 as well. So top 2 lines for Ottawa definitely in play for me. I like Ottawa as another dog on the slate that's going to be low owned in terms of a stack. 2 other teams I'll mention, obviously a little bit more I already talked about. I have a little bit more interest in some of these teams here tonight, just the nature of the slate, a little bit more spread, but there's still 22 teams to pick from, and I'm listing off about 8 overall or 7 because I did say I'm a little bit under on Boston overall. Probably won't have any Boston exposure personally myself. Last game, another team I have interest, like I talked about, it's the last game of the night. It's the New York Rangers. In Edmonton, obviously on the road here, but they are a road favorite. Edmonton's been terrible to start the year. Absolutely horrible. Allowing over 4.4 goals per game. Second worst in the league. They're giving up a lot of shots, decent high danger chances, killing off just 77% of penalties. I think the Rangers here as a late night hammer are definitely sneaky. I like their price points. Mika Zibanejad, 6,500 for him is very criminal. That's a very, very cheap price point. Chris Kreider's been great to start the year. I like him. Kako is going to be a value guy skating on that top line. You can definitely go to him. Personally, I don't love it a ton, but I hate splitting up lines when I'm doing a line stack. So definitely can include him in your Rangers line stacks if you're not stacking that power play. Artemi Panarin, Bredman, on that second line, top power play. I mean, he's been excellent all year so far as well. Averages over 3.5 shots per game, plays 18 to 20 minutes, 6,400 for him. Pretty solid price point there. Chris Kreider, like I said, I already brought him up. He's sub 6K on that top line next to Mika. I mean, he's owned Edmonton in his past as well. Had 2 goals last game, in his last game last season against Edmonton. Goal before that. So he's got 3 goals in his last 2 games against Edmonton, and he's just 5,700, averages over 2 shots per game as well, 18 to 20 minutes of ice time. I like him. Jacob Trouba's been pretty consistent all year as a D-man, 4,800, 11, 10, 15, 13 in his last 4 DraftKings points, playing over 20 minutes as well. Can block some shots in there, going to fire the puck as well. So definitely think he makes some sense. Philip Chittle as a second line value guy to stack with Artemi Panarin there and Alexis Lafreniere. A little bit cheaper there, 4,200 value center. He's still averaging over 2 shots per game. So I do like these Rangers. I don't think a lot of people go to these Rangers. They got some value D-men like Eric Gustav as well. Adam Fox's price point is all down under 6K. I mean, to start the year, we were paying 6,400. This guy's 500 cheaper than we were paying a couple of games ago in Nashville. Last year, we were paying over 7K for this guy, and now he's all the way down to 5,900. He hasn't been great to start the year here, but he's been excellent versus Edmonton. His last 4 games versus Edmonton, 17, 16, 17, and 19 DraftKings points. If he posts one of those at 5,900, definitely a good chance to be sitting pretty if you have Adam Fox on your team. So overall, I like the Rangers quite a bit. And then my sneaky super unowned stack of the night here is actually going to be Seattle on the road here in Carolina. And everyone's going to say, oh my God, why are you playing Seattle? Seattle, oh my God, they're playing Carolina. But Carolina's 2-4 to start the year. I get it. They are at home. Seattle hasn't been any better, right? 2-5. But the thing with Seattle is these price points are extremely, extremely, extremely cheap. I talked about loving Tampa. I talked about loving a lot of the expensive stacks like the Brady Tkachuk line there for Ottawa, that top line. I like a lot of the big guys, the Colorado big dogs. You need value. And where you have value is Seattle here. I think Seattle can score because looking at the Hurricanes have given up the most goals per game through 7 goals. That's a 7-game sample to start the year. They're allowing over 4.5 goals per game, 4.66. I get it. Their expected goals against is significantly lower than that, but hasn't come to fruition. Teams have been scoring on Carolina here. Freddie Anderson's supposed to be in net for Carolina. I call him Swiss cheese because Swiss cheese has a lot of holes in them. When you have holes, the hockey puck tends to go through the hole. Find the back of the net, light that lamp, and you post that siren emoji in the Discord chat when you see those scores. I like Seattle here as a low-owned stack. Alex Wenberg, Bjorkstrand, Jaden Schwartz, that second line, super cheap. I mean, Jaden Schwartz just scored 28 DraftKings points. He's got a 20 DraftKings points at 12, and this guy's 3,800 getting power play time as well, playing 15 to 18 minutes. Like him. Jared McCann, like him, he's on that top line, that top power play, so excuse me, that third line. So I think you can play all three lines for Seattle. They're all super cheap. Personally, I like all of them. I mean, I think Seattle is a very good spot to come for value. I like the value guys more personally. Like the Jaden Schwartz. I like Jaden Schwartz. I like Yanni Gord. I like Alex Wenberg. 2.6K for Alex Wenberg as a center option. C8 on the second line and top power play. I mean, this guy's getting 18 to 20 minutes at 2.6K, $100 over min price. He's putting pucks on the net. He's getting power play time, 10, 2, and 9 DraftKings points in his last 3. I mean, the guy's $100 over min price, getting power play and second line, which I like second liners more on the road. So my preferred option for Seattle is definitely that second line, the Alex Wenberg, Jaden Schwartz, Oliver Bjorkstrand line. That's definitely my preference if I'm coming to Seattle. But I think you can mix and match all these guys. They have very, very good price tags. They have very cheap D-men that are in pretty good spots as well. So overall, definitely like Seattle here as kind of a sleepier stack as a value piece. That's kind of all the stacks I'm looking at here. Again, obviously, there's a lot of teams. I'm a little bit more spread than normal, but that's kind of where I'm looking at that. Did want to run off another point here. I talked about unblocked shot attempts. Just running off. I pulled this from Left Wing Lock. Put the link in the Discord where I'm pulling this information from. But just looking over the last 3 games, some of the top lines for unblocked shot attempts. Unblocked shot attempts for that Calgary line with Backlund, Coleman, and Mangiapane has 43 unblocked shot attempts on net in the last 3 games with 3 goals. So definitely take a look at them if you're interested in that. Pittsburgh, I didn't talk about Pittsburgh as much. I think Colorado waxes them here. But Sidney Crosby, Brian Rust, Jake Gunsel, they have 41 unblocked shot attempts over the last 3 games on net with 3 goals. I already talked about Ottawa, that Timmy Stu, Claude Giroux, Brady Tkachuk line. They're third in the league in terms of the last 3 games. Jersey's not on the slate, but Anaheim is on the slate. That Vetrano, Strome, and McTavish line, 34 unblocked shot attempts on net and 3 goals for. They're playing Boston. Nobody's going to play that line. If you want to be frisky in GPPs, definitely give that line a look for Anaheim. And then rounding out the top 6 is Philadelphia. Cam Atkinson, Cordier, and Owen Tippett. Owen Tippett. 33 unblocked shot attempts with 3 goals on that as well. Nobody's going to play them as well. So that's some of the top teams in the league in terms of, or top lines, over the last 3 games with unblocked shot attempts. And that's what you're looking for. If your shot attempt on net gets blocked, doesn't count as a shot on goal. So you definitely don't want that. You're looking for the shots that are going through and definitely making their way onto net, whether they get saved or they find the back of the net is definitely what you're looking for. Jumping into goalies here. Some goalies I have interest in. I'll talk about number 1, Scott Wedgwood. It was supposed to be Jake Oettinger, who's been great all year, but now we get Scott Wedgwood in net for Dallas here against Toronto. Pretty tough matchup, but what I look for as goalies, I want goalies that have a chance to win, which I think Dallas has a chance to win here at home against Toronto, and I want goalies that are going to see shot volume, and that's Wedgwood checks both the boxes there. 7,700 fair price point to pay for him, so I have interest in Scott Wedgwood. I think my favorite goalie of the night is going to be Igor Shesterkin against Edmonton. I already talked about the Rangers. I like the Rangers. Edmonton still fires the puck on net, so Igor still definitely has save opportunities here against Edmonton. I think New York Rangers as a road team here wins the game as well, so that's a little bonus there. 7,800 for him. I like Igor Shesterkin. Can't be reminiscent to not mention Alexander Georgiev there for Colorado. 8,100. I mean, this guy should be the most expensive goalie on the slate. He has not lost all year long. He's 6-0, has started every game for Colorado. And I think Colorado rolls here tonight in Pittsburgh as well. So he's definitely, if I'm spending up, he's definitely the goalie I'm going to see some shot volume. I think Colorado easily wins this game against Pittsburgh as well. 2 other goalies I have interest in here. Philip Gustav, I just have faith in this guy as a goalie. 8K for him. He's in Philadelphia on the road, but I think Minnesota can win that game as well. He should see shot volume. So Philip Gustav, he did have a 42-point game to start the year. So he definitely has the upside there if he sees the volume. I think he's a very quality goaltender. So he'd be my second favorite spend-up goalie on the slate. And then I already talked about liking Ottawa a lot on offense. So I have to have interest in the $7,500 Jonas Korpisalo, who I think can win that game there at $7,500. So like Korpisalo as my cheap goalie. And then if you have a read on the Islanders better than I do, and you like the Islanders, you can go to Ilya Sorokin, but he is 7,900 here. I like Ottawa personally to win the game. So I would much rather just play Jonas Korpisalo at 7,500 personally in that game. I'm definitely on the Ottawa side versus the Islander side in that game. Talking through some values real quick, and then we'll get on out of here. Again, if you guys haven't hit that like button, please hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers. Another huge giveaway coming once we do that. And in the comment section, drop your favorite stacks, your favorite skaters, who you're looking at tonight, your favorite things about these shows, about SHIPIT Nation. Anything in there, much appreciated. First, looking at the center position here, some value centers here that I'm looking at. My first one, Wyatt Johnston, Dallas. I think Dallas could score here and can score some goals here at home against Toronto. Wyatt Johnston, 3,400. He's been very good, averaging over 2 shots per game, seeing about 18 minutes of ice time as well at 3,400. Wyatt Johnston, definitely a great value center play. Another one at 3,300, Anthony Cirelli for Tampa Bay. I already mentioned him when I was talking about Tampa. I love Tampa. My favorite stack of the night. He's a third liner, second power play. I like third liners more at home, and he's playing the worst hockey team in the league to start the year. Anthony Cirelli at 3,300. Very, very good value play. I already talked about not liking the Islanders side, but one guy you definitely have to have interest in is Jean-Gabriel Pageau, JPG, on home ice, 2,800, $300 over min price. He's going to get 16 to 18 minutes here, averaging right around 2 shots on net per game, getting some power play time. You can definitely take a stab on him because I think Islanders could definitely score. It is still a 6.5 total. Korpisalo isn't bulletproof by any means. And I think the pace, I think Ottawa tries to push the pace a little bit here as well. So could lead to more scoring opportunities for a guy like JGP here for the Islanders. And then the two other guys, I already talked about Seattle being one of my favorite value stacks, right, of the slate. So I'd be remiss not to mention two value centers for the Kraken here. Yanni Gourde, third liner. Don't like third liners too much on the road, but I think Yanni Gourde is definitely a quality. I played him a lot last year. He's 3K, but actually my favorite value from Seattle is actually Alex Wennberg. Like I talked about, 2,600 for him is just criminally underpriced. I mean, he's 2.6K, $100 over min price, seeing over 18 minutes, 19 minutes of ice team. That leads to opportunities, ice time, more time you're on the ice, the more chance you have to score, shoot pucks, things like that, find your way into fantasy points. So 2,600, Alex Wennberg, like him quite a bit. Looking at the value wingers, I'm going to stick right there with Seattle because obviously I already talked about Seattle quite a bit. Seattle has a lot of value guys, but one of the wingers that I'm looking at, Jordan Eberle, top line, top power play. He's 3.9K. This guy was way more expensive last year. I think you can definitely look at him. I prefer that second line more for Seattle, but a top liner with top power play, seeing 18 to 19 minutes with averaging over 2.5 penalty minutes per game as well. Again, more time he's out there, especially when the other team is shorthanded, like on the power play, leads to more opportunities for fantasy points. So Jordan Eberle, definitely have interest in him. Going to continue to bring this guy up until DraftKings prices him up. Marcus Johansson, it's just the matchup thing. It's just the opportunity that he's on. He's on that top power play at under 4K. 3,700 for him. Skating next to Eriksson Ek, who I like more on the road as well. Pat Maroon, and then on that top power play with Zuccarello and Kirill the Thrill Kaprizov, that leads to opportunities. And 3,700, 8, 16, and 8 in his last 3 games. Now gets a Philly team here who can definitely be scored on. So Marcus Johansson for Minnesota, another value guy I'm looking at. Going into Carolina, didn't talk about Carolina too much on the offensive side. I like the other side I talked about in terms of price points because I think Seattle can score goals. But one guy, Jordan Martinook for Carolina, a left winger, 3,200, third liner here. He's averaging over 3 shots per game. That's what I like to see. Has decent history against Seattle as well, 6.66. Which isn't a great number to see, but that's his last 3 games, 6 DraftKings points. He's 3,200. So if you need an absolute value guy as a one-off, Jordan Martinook, not my favorite, but have to bring him up. He is seeing over 15 minutes of ice time per game as well. So definitely could look at that, and that could be increased here as well on home ice, where typically third liners play a little bit more. I already talked about Blake Coleman in that Calgary second line, They lead the league in terms of unblocked shot attempts 4 over the last 3 games. So that Andrew Mangiapane, Mikael Backlund, and Blake Coleman line, that second line for Calgary, I actually love them. Blake Coleman, 3,600. I think is a Blake Coleman spot here tonight, especially as a later game on the slate. 11, 17, and 15 in his last 3 games against St. Louis. He's averaging over 2.5 shots per game as well. So Blake Coleman rounding out my value wingers on this slate. And then one more actually for Montreal. Still 6.5 total there, 3-3 teams, Columbus and Montreal. Montreal at home, but I got to bring it up. Brendan Gallagher, third liner, second power play. He's averaging over 2 shots per game. Doesn't get a ton of ice time, seeing right around 12 minutes per game. But when he's out there, he's firing the puck. And he's had 2 goals in his last 3 games against Columbus. This game could explode here between these 2 teams. And Brendan Gallagher at 3,100, I think, is definitely an interesting value piece for Montreal. Couple value D-men to round up this show, and then I'll get on out of here, get my content up for SHIPIT Nation subscribers. My first value D-man, I'm going to bring this guy up every time until he's priced up. He's 3,500. It's Mario Ferraro for San Jose. Obviously a terrible team, but what they're going to see is Tampa shoots the puck a ton. This guy just literally looks like he's ready for hockey tryouts, right? He just stands in there, takes the blocks. I mean, this guy's averaging over 3 blocks per game, averaging over 2.5 shots per game as well. So he's definitely a walking DraftKings D-men bonus scorer in terms of that block shot bonus or shot on goal block shot bonus there. And 3,500, one of my favorite value D-men's on the slate until this guy gets priced appropriately. I mean, he's seeing 22 to 24 minutes, blocking shots, shooting the puck as well. I mean, he's got a 22-point ceiling, which we've seen 2 games ago, and 3,500, you can definitely do worse than that. 2 other value guys out there in Toronto in the D-men, Mark Giordano and TJ Brody. I think you're going to definitely play both of them. 3,600 for Brody, 3,500 for Giordano. They're both very similar plays. They've both been pretty good all year long. They both play right around the same amount of minutes. And I think they both make some sense here against Dallas. I like Dallas in that game, but 2 value D-men on a team that can definitely score goals in a 6.5 total. Definitely can give a look at both of those guys for Toronto. Another guy I have interest in, or 2 more that I'm going to throw your way. One guy is for Philadelphia. Didn't talk about Philly at all, but this guy, top line, top power play, seeing right around 26 to 27 minutes ice time against one of the best matchups in the league. Is D-men against Minnesota. It was that way last year. I played a lot of D-men against Minnesota. They just struggle versus D-men. And this guy has not scored under 8 DraftKings points all year. He's just 4K flat. Again, seeing over 25 minutes and seeing over 3 penalty minutes per game as well. Travis Sanheim at 4K flat for Philly. Top line, top power play. Has decent history as well. So if you find a 4K spot, definitely look at Travis Sanheim. And then last guy for me is Sebastian Aho. There is 2 Sebastian Ahos. This is not the center Sebastian Aho. This is the D-men Sebastian Aho for the New York Islanders. 2,900, third liner, gets some second power play time. Doesn't see a ton of minutes, but this guy's had great success against Ottawa. He's had 12, 12, and 11 all 3 games last season against Ottawa. He's 2,900. So if you need an absolute value punt, he'd be my option, Sebastian Aho, all the way down at the bottom for the New York Islanders. But that's going to do it for the Thursday, October 26th, a couple of days before Halloween, NHL Quick Hit. Again, these shows are brought to you by ShipItNation.com. If you guys made it this far and you are not yet a subscriber, of SHIPITNation.com for all of our premium content, tools, projections, everything you need to have success with DFS. And if you have been on Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, the newly known as Elon Musk X, you've seen our Ship It Nation YouTube or Twitter posting all the screenshots of our members absolutely printing, including our staff members as well. Head over there, use promo code NBA10, gets you 10% off to any membership you choose on the Ship It Nation website. That's going to do it, though. Hopefully, everyone has a great Thursday. Good luck in your NHL contest. NFL Showdown as well tonight. Our guys, Hoop, Tambo, and Title about to go live here in a little bit over on the Mayo Media Network. So head over to the Mayo Media Network. Check out their show for all the winners for tonight's NFL Showdown. All the content will be up as well. We do have a show right here on this channel as well for the 2-game NBA slate tonight, which NBA's here. We've been printing so far through 2 nights of the season. Everything's going great over here. That's going to do it for this NHL show, though. For myself, Nadesify, good luck tonight. Let's see those Ship It Nation logos at the tops. We'll see you next time. Let's ship it.